Hey there, this is Red, and it's time for another Red review. So what I want to talk to you about today is Heroes of Tenefyr. And the reason I want to talk to you about this is I just got a notice that they're kicking off another Kickstarter, and they're adding an expansion to this game. And I really do like this game. I think the one thing that it's lacking is a little bit of depth in the content. So I'm really excited about this expansion that's coming out and seeing how that helps improve the game. So I want to give you a quick overview of the game so you can decide if it might be in the line of something that you like. So Heroes of Tenefyr is kind of a dungeon exploring deck building game. So the way that it works is there's going to be a dungeon that you're going to go into. And the basic mechanic is when you go into the dungeon, you adventure and get cards, and then if you back out on your own, you move one down this track, right? So you have multiple opportunities to go build up your deck. If you fail, you go down two rather than one. It's pretty simple. When you get to the end, you got to fight the boss and see how well you do against the boss. All right, the characters that you've got to play with are, there's a thief, a cleric, a bard, and a barbarian. And when you choose, like if in a 4-player, everybody would choose one. 3-player, everybody would choose one. If you play 2-player, then you get 2 aspects in a single deck. All right. And when you choose a character, you get a special card that goes with that character. All right. Your base deck is going to be these cards that are 1s and 0s, which are upside down. Let's make them this way. There we go. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have 6 1s and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 0s. Okay, so you get 6 1s, 6 0s, and then you get your special aspect card, right? So the bard's got its own special skill. Barbarian, kill stuff, draw extra cards. Cleric can help you get cards back, and the thief helps you get stuff, right? It's all pretty thematic, right? So what happens is you get a deck that would be like, let's say I chose the thief. This would be my thief deck, right? So I'd have 6 cards plus my thief card, and I would mix them all up. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Okay, what you're going up against is, you and your pals here are going up against a dungeon. And the way the dungeon works is usually you've got a couple of reward cards, and then you've got a set of monsters. So these are like the monsters, like you've got a giant rat maybe, or a kobold, or a gargoyle, or bandit. All right, so if we go back and look, let's take a look at this giant rat, right? Giant rat, what you notice here is there's 1, that's its level, and there's levels 1 through 5, and then you have the bosses after that, right? And then it says how much damage you're going to need to do in order to kill that rat. So in a 2-player, you just need to do 2, 3-player 3, 4, 4, right? And then usually every monster has some sort of special ability or thing that complicates playing against it. Well, here's one that doesn't. So the goblin's pretty simple, right? No special ability, you're just trying to get to that amount of damage. The way you're achieving that amount of damage is you've got your little deck here, and you're going to draw 3 cards, and you go 1, 2, 3. And you're going to look at them and decide whether you want to stick with that hand or whether you want to go after another 3 cards, right? So I've got 3 there, so I would probably keep that, which would allow me to kill that goblin, right? One of the other things I might look at is, if let's say I'd drawn, well, the reason I drew 3 1s is because my deck is all 1s right there, which is kind of cheap, right? So let's say I had actually had my 0s in my deck and I'd drawn, maybe I'd draw something like this, which is a 0, a 0, and a 1, right? I could keep that hand and put that out against the goblin. This is what I want to do. My expectation would be then, as we get to the other adventurers on the table, so maybe I'm playing with the bard and the barbarian and the cleric there, that the bard's going to draw their hand and get a damage, right? Or maybe let's put the goblin in the middle of the table here. Maybe the barbarian will end up doing damage, right? So I can count on my other players to bring cards out to get enough damage to kill that monster. All right, the other part of that is you can't play any more cards once you run your deck out, right? So I could say on my turn, I could see these cards and say, hey, I'm not doing enough damage. I'm going to discard and draw 3 other cards. 1, 2, 3. Right? And now I've got 2 ones in my special card, which is probably a much better hand to play, but I've gone through my deck faster in order to get there, right? So what happens is you've got these monsters out here, which you don't know what they are normally at the start. So you have 2 locations that you can go to. Then you have a stack of monsters and a stack of monsters. And then you have the same thing for there's level 2 monsters that are in there. So you'd have a stack of 2s and a stack of 2s. Then you'd have a reward for the 2 and a reward for the 2. And then you go on down the line, right? There's a stack of 3s and a stack of 3s. And then a reward for the 3s and a reward for the 3s. Oop, I skipped the 2s and somehow I got 4s. So anyway, you get the idea. There ends up being 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and then 5s. Okay? And that's what you're fighting as you go down this track. Now, what happens is, as you defeat monsters, and this is the fun, the deck building part of it, right? So like, for example, if I fight this Minotaur and I beat the Minotaur, and the person that beats the Minotaur, this card goes into their deck. And so now I have a card that's worth 3 attack, right? So that's a lot of attack, like in a 4-person to get. That's even 7 is kind of tough. If you look at my base cards, right, between the 2 of us, if I was playing 2 players trying to get in 2 sets of 3 cards trying to get 7, you really need to have something to add additional oomph to your hands in order to get to 7 and be really lucky, right? So you probably wouldn't start off at level 3. So you build up your cards as you try to advance through the dungeon to get more and more powerful so you're ready to take on the boss at the end. And what I like about this game is it plays pretty quick. I can get a game done in an hour or less. They also have like a fast mode for this, so you can play even quicker. The other thing I like about it is it's a pretty compact game, and I like building my own deck. That's kind of fun, and the randomness is good. I will say that I do not win at this game very often. A lot of times you fight the bosses, and they're much more difficult than you can build up to be ready to fight. So if you're the kind of person that likes to constantly beat the final boss, and maybe I'm just not really good at this game, but I think it's a tough game, and it's kind of like one deck dungeon where sometimes those few times that you beat it, you're like, yeah, I really did it, right? But other times you will probably lose, and it's about how far can you get down the track. Let's see. So things that I don't like about the game, I'd kind of mentioned the variety in the game after you play a few times. Like there's only, maybe like 10 in the base game. I think there's maybe 10, maybe 12 monsters to start off. So your variety of monsters gets repetitive after a few games. That's what I'm hoping the expansion will help correct, right? You have the same 4 characters. It'd be nice to get more variety of characters. But the game does play differently each time that you play it because of the randomness of the draws. The other thing which is kind of a silly thing, but when I stack all of these cards together, like I put all the cards together, right? Which they're all going all over the place right now because I have them sleeved. But really, okay, this is the size of the game, is these cards here, right? So when I put them in the box, right, it takes up maybe, I think the box is laid out like this. It takes up about that much of the box, right? This could be a very portable game. And I've looked at it as a travel game, but I need to rebox it in order to do that. So I really would I just need to build a box that fits this game better. And I think that would make it a lot easier for me to take. And it's a very good solo game. It's very good for, like I talked about, the time to play is small, and you don't need a whole lot of room. You can keep it pretty compact, like right here in front of you. So I like this game. I would recommend this game. I think I like Marvel Champions and stuff. I'm liking a lot more right now. There's other games I like that take longer to play. I think shorter games, maybe like One Deck Dungeon is one of my favorite small compact games to play, and this kind of fits in the middle of that. Like if you're looking for something a little bit more maybe than One Deck Dungeon but not as big as Marvel Champions, this might fall into that realm for you. And it's definitely, I don't think it's as complex as something like Marvel Champions and less random than something like One Deck Dungeon. So it's got a spot in my collection. I don't know that it comes out as often as a lot of those other games that I solo play, but I still like it, and I'm still going to buy the expansion because I'm hoping that the expansion helps enrich this game more and helps me get it to the table more often. So anyway, that is Heroes of Tenefyr. I believe I'll put a link out there for the Kickstarter for the next expansion that's coming out. And if you're interested, check it out. So probably do a playthrough of this in the near future just so you can see what the play is like. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this episode. Please leave any comments or suggestions you have below. If you like this episode, make sure to click on that like button, and you can click on the crazy jackalope to stay up to date with any new content that rolls out.